What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch in the Roo, presented as always by our friends at Pure Options Precision Crafted Cannabis. If you just survived that Tigers-Astros ninth inning, if you were up late with the Lions last night, chances are Pure Options would really help your night, would really add to the vibe, which is already pretty damn good. Go to pureoptions.com, check out the location nearest you, join their Pure Perks loyalty program, download their app, all sorts of good deals, and check out the events, the concert series next weekend. Again, well, not a concert series, but another event happening right there at their Frandor location. And great community partner, our friends at Pure Options, Precision Crafted Cannabis. And our Tuesday night show, brought to you by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar. That is just north of Frandor on East Saginaw and Lansing. The OG of Couch and the Roof sponsors. And an incredible place to watch the Tigers tomorrow afternoon. Enjoy their happy hour specials while watching the Tigers the next 2 days. Maybe Michigan State on Friday night at Oregon, Michigan Saturday night at Washington. Front 43 and Cask & Company can just be your place all week. You'd love it. I'm telling you right now, the menu, fantastic. You could try a bunch of different things. Great beer selection, great vibes. 2 adjoining restaurants, 1 terrific menu. Jason, how you doing, brother?
It's our core foundation, man.
Peacock.
What's up, buddy?
How you doing?
Oh, my God, what a 24 hours. I don't know, man. I'm good. Absolutely good. I just was like, man, that Tigers game almost took something out of me. So I was going to have to cancel this show if they lost that game.
So today, and we're doing this show Tuesday night for those who aren't listening live, which is 98% of you. I don't know why I speak to the live listeners. I appreciate the live listeners, but it is not our core foundation. Our core audience is not the live listeners. Anyway, the Michigan State had this pretty poorly timed men's basketball interview availability with Izzo a little after 5 o'clock today. So, watch the first 7 innings, get in the car, drive over to MSU.
Hey, Tom, can you change this? Or?
Not thrilled about it. Yep.
But did Tom care?
Well, no, it was kind of cool, though, is you get there and, first of all, really spirited practice today. So you get to see some great actual scrimmaging going on. And then I've got the phone. I've got the game on the ESPN app on the phone. But as practice winds down, they're in the 9th inning. And he's talking to his team, and there's nobody out, but they're up 3-0, bottom of the 9th. You figure, okay, let's watch. Everybody's watching it on their phones. Naturally, it's bases loaded, 2 out, and Izzo comes over to talk about the camp out or in the Midnight Madness and all that stuff. But what's great is they threw
Izzo, the game's on, man. Come on.
They did. They threw it on the big screen TV there in Breslin Center. Matt Wenzel from M Live tweeted it out, and I retweeted him there on just. And then we all stood around and watched the final out, which was exhilarating. When that ball, I forget who the batter was, but came off the bat there, I thought it was headed somewhere bad.
That was Jason Hayward.
Hayward.
And it happened so quick because you see torque, and you're like, I just was listening for the crowd because they weren't really yelling. But, it happened so fast that, oh, my God, my heart dropped.
I've never been.
You cannot lose that game.
Never been happier to see Torkelson's face in my life. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Beautiful bastard, Torque. Yeah.
It was
but man, what a day for you. You had the games on in your Better Home and Gardens suite at your house there. I saw your setup.
Watching Young Boys.
Jesus.
And some people made fun of me like it's not some great – look,
it's the way you have it. And then you have some Reader's Digest is your where you put your coffee on top of. It's just like a whole scene you got
This isn't a man cave. It's a den. I'm a married man.
That is not a man cave.
That's what I said. It's not a man cave. It's a den. I've got a treadmill there. There's a TV
Dude, I did
there.
not see a treadmill.
I was on the treadmill. I was taking it from the treadmill. And I pulled out a second TV so I could watch the Champions League stuff. That's why it was a weird setup.
What does it mean you're married? What does that have to do with anything? A lot of guys are. I'm married.
I'm saying
I watch the games.
But somebody's saying you're an adult. Get yourself a proper television.
Sorry, that was my burner.
You know what being a married man means?
What?
You don't have control over this shit. You don't get to put. You don't take your really
that's
nice.
your life.
You don't take your den and make it a.
First of all, we don't have dens. We have a room where we watch sports.
Well, in the West Side neighborhood, we have dens in Lansing. We have great dens. That's what we do.
What does that have to do with being married, though, and get a different TV? I mean, like you just have like 2 different monitors. I mean, look how nice of a house you have. People are just wondering, like, why don't you just get yourself a nice TV couch, like for Christmas? Ask Santa for
everything I need. I have everything I need in life.
All
I'm
right.
good.
That's good for you.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, but if you're going to take that picture, you have to be aware that you're going to take some blowback for it.
Doing it for the young boys. I was watching Young Boys versus Barcelona. Your team, your soccer team.
Oh God.
But you're right about it though. They had to get it done because you get those 6 innings out of Skubal, and then you get Will Vest looking like he did, and you're just, if you lose that game, there's no way you're winning 2. You know you're doing 2 bullpen days, which they've done great, but you're up against you just saw what happens with that lineup in an instant against Foley. If you're up against a contact pitcher, you're in trouble. And they've got to do 2 days of it. I'm not saying they don't have a day in them to do it. I'm not saying there isn't a day where their own bats won't come alive. They obviously survived a really good pitcher themselves today. And if this ends after 2 more days, this was a hell of a success. They got a postseason win. Skubal looked great in getting it for them. They got there. They battled the Astros. I think
should we have that mentality though right now? I mean, we're 71% chance to go to the next round here. I'm going to be really says this whatever stats I read after the game. We had a 71%. What do you think I just came up with that?
Yeah, but they got a
Rube stats and info. I just made that shit up on the fly. I mean, I actually saw the number.
Yeah, I'm saying the people came up with it are not very bright. But
why?
Because they're better.
It's actually from the MIT account from their.
They're better than 50% to lose tomorrow, and they're probably better than 50% to lose the next day. So, I mean, I understand that somewhere in there you get 71%, but
you're saying it can go either way.
I'm saying it can go
I'm saying I would be disappointed if they lose this series. It's okay to say that, I think. We were just going to be happy, but then when you're in it, you win game 1. It's a big game 1. Man.
It was exhilarating.
I'm going to be disappointed.
It was exhilarating. Yeah. And it was it's all
between the Lions D and today's game in the 9th. Holy hell.
Well, when you see all these pitchers over time who are great all season long and then suck in the postseason. Like the whole point of being a great pitcher is to be able to do what Skubal did today. There's no point in existing.
There's another million.
If you can't do it.
Couple million sprinkled on top of that contract, Chris.
I mean,
have fun paying that shit.
You got to do it. 5 years, $250. I'd say right about
That's
now.
Light.
Is what you got light, is it?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah. Well, you got to do it.
30 mil.
No salary cap. What do you mean 30 mil?
300 mil.
300 mil. 5 years.
71%.
Okay. Is that what that is?
Just pay the dude. Every time he goes on that mound, you just topple another 10 mil on there.
Absolutely. And there's no concern about injury because there's no salary cap. If he gets hurt, so what? It's not. You just pay it anyway.
Going to be around forever.
Yeah. You're good. First of all, before we get into the Lions, we got what I think is going to be a good show. We're going to talk some Lions here. Then James Crepea from the Portland Oregonian is going to talk with us about Oregon football and Michigan State this weekend, and
that 24-point spread.
And that 24-point spread. And then we will talk about spreads. Harry will join us, and we'll pick the games as well. But we'll have James with us in a few minutes here. Yeah, I got to say, Jared Goff was pretty damn good yesterday.
I mean, the safety. I mean, that's what ruined his. I mean, I guess he had a perfect QBR rating. Yeah, he was unbelievable. Honestly, it was just the defense and all those big plays and Kenneth Walker running all over us. So,
the
hell of an atmosphere there last night.
The only thing that ruined it was Dan Campbell forgetting to give him a game ball. Did Campbell apologize to that today?
Who did he give the game ball to?
He gave it to J-Mo, and
Goff doesn't give a shit.
He didn't realize that Goff had set an NFL record by being 18 for 18.
That's how great we are. You can overlook those things. Give it to J-Mo. J-Mo needs the confidence boost. Let's get him going.
Absolutely.
You know?
The head coach should know
Goff
the details.
Doesn't give a shit. He knows how good he is.
That's true. No, it was, the most promising thing about the Lions game to me, and you were there, and I want to get a sense of what that experience was like. But to me, from my treadmill view, was that the Lions showed they can play that kind of game too. Like we've seen them struggle a little bit in on offense and play these kind of grinded out games that haven't been all that pretty. And then they went up against a team that Seahawks team is going to be in the playoffs. And I know they're missing some guys defensively, but that offense.
If they play the Lions 5 weeks in a row, sure.
Well, that offense has got some legit guys.
Holy hell.
And you get in a track meet like that, and you're the bully. You're the team that's on the front foot, and you made enough plays defensively, including that one turnover that really turned the game. And now you're in that is a really promising sign that Lions offense showed up. That they you got to be able to win a lot of different ways in the NFL when you play good teams, and that was a way that they hadn't shown yet this year. And I was a little worried this offense was in a funk, and maybe we weren't going to see it for a while. But that's in them now. You've seen sort of – I'm not saying there isn't even another gear, but that's about as good as Goff can play. Obviously, 18 for 18 there's no better really than that.
And rushing the ball for over 100 yards. Montgomery looked unbelievable, and Gibbs. And
yep. No,
when that offense is clicking. But see, the thing is, on the other side, I mean, you can win games like that. And, it was one of those games, especially at Ford Field, that I was never worried that Seattle was going to come back. It's just all of these big chunk plays, and it's like the NFL, the refs, I mean, last night, it was pretty wild. And they, the Lions have to clean that up. I mean, you cannot sit there and win games with 12 penalties for 100 plus yards. It's just not going to happen, right? I mean, this bend, don't break D. And by the way, is Brian Branch the MVP of the defense? Really missed that guy last night. But
yeah.
I'm glad to win games like that when it was kind of ugly. Like I said, it's you have to kind of ask questions because I know it's a long season. I think Aaron Glenn is a great defensive coordinator, and I think he's doing it. But we need some linebacker help.
So I'll say this about Brian Branch. He is the Parker Meadows of the Lions defense.
Sure.
Like, I've thought that he's always been the most impactful player when I've watched him. Like, everywhere he only makes positive plays, it seems like. He's everywhere you need him to be. And is he the best player on the defense? You could argue that Hutchinson is, or, you could argue he's not necessarily the best player on the defense. But is he the most, like, in terms of when this defense is good versus bad, his impact is clear. And I think
Metcalf was getting the calls too. I know Kenneth Walker. I mean, 3 TDs, that was ridiculous. He's going to get his against us, but like Metcalf getting all of those calls that he got yesterday, he's a beast of a receiver. He doesn't need to get all of these chintzy, interference calls too. But
and the other thing is,
God, I love Ford Field. It's amazing to be there, man.
You had to get that. You had to get to 3-1. You had to. I mean, you don't have to, but if you want to be a team that's in the fight for the number 1 seed. And getting the bye and being home throughout the playoffs, which I think you want to. That should be a goal this season for the Lions, right?
Home playoff games.
And you already dropped a game maybe you shouldn't have, and so you needed to win that. Now you got a bye week before a Cowboys team that is, I think, vulnerable. I know it's in Dallas, but it's a place that, Vikings obviously good team on the road, but then you get the Titans at home. Like, there's a chance now. You should take 2 of the next 3 in some form, right? You should take 2 of the next 3, And so you should be 5-2 after 7 going into those Packers Texans games. And when you start looking at the pacing of the Lions season, I like it a lot for the Lions. You get Cowboys, again, I think Lions are just better than them. I know it's on the road. But Cowboys, Vikings, then you get the Titans at home. Packers, Texans, tough tandem game, 2 road games. But then you get Jaguars at home. Like, there's this sort of cadence to the season, which I think is going to help. Where you've got to win, if you split these big games and you win the one that you should win at home, then it's
it just comes down to the injuries, though, right? We can talk about, like, go down the schedule, 6 more games down the line, but it's like Ragnow, how is he going to come back after the bye week? That torn pec, it's going to be lingering all season long. Branch, is he going to be back healthy? And just protect Goff at all costs, man. That's why I say throw that ball away when he does that spin to try to make yards or run with his feet. Nah. As soon as he turned on one and zipped one into, I think it was St. Brown, which was pretty awesome. But when he does that turn, I want him just to chuck that ball into the stands because no stupid injuries. That can be the one thing that can derail us the whole season is if we don't protect Jared Goff.
Yeah,
wait for my hot takes on Monday. Sorry, that wasn't very hot.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just saying, it's with watching the injuries and what the Dolphins and some of these teams have to deal with no fucking quarterbacks. I just don't. Hendon Hooker might be all right, but I think he's down the road, so I don't want to see that now.
No, you need Goff healthy. You need Goff healthy to win a Super Bowl. There's no question about it. And one of the things I've realized I have to be is a little less
douchey.
Well, that too.
Oh.
But pessimistic and a little like I live too much for the future of things. Like, I don't enjoy let me give you a Lions-Tigers example of this. Like, I worry too much about the Lions window and how Goff limits that, and couldn't they be slightly more perfect there than they are with him? And what about?
But how long are you thinking?
But this is what I mean is this is a moment. Enjoy this moment. They haven't been here forever. The Tigers, I sit there and I go, well, in the middle of the year, I'm like, what if they don't? They should. They only have to scoop over 2 more years.
I texted Dominic last night at the game. I wanted the record to show that I am not taking any of this for granted. last night I enjoyed. I was looking around the stadium. I was enjoying every minute of that. The playoff game for the Tigers today. So I'm excited that we're actually relevant. I have my sports fandom back. I'm not dead inside. It's fantastic.
It's definitely
like when you wake up in the morning and you have hope and shit. It's fantastic.
when you have shit to watch that matters.
Yes.
You know, I mean, that's the other thing. Like,
I just want to be a contender. I just want to be in the mix, and just all the four majors just at one time shitty, like being shitty. It's just brutal sometimes.
Well, the Lions thing was a long time coming, and now they're sort of in this. This is the peak Lions, right? They are a heavyweight. They are. We know that they are a team that's built to win this year. What's so interesting about the Tigers is this shit happened fast.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 months ago, 9 games below 500. You're talking about, well, what's the timeline for the Tigers? Win in 2027? Like, and now it's like, well, wait a sec. How about win in 2024?
We were saying in the first half of the season, though, like, why aren't we getting some of these young guys in there? This wasn't just Javi Baez. It was just other guys. Like, why are we sitting here with these retread guys and dealing with this? And why don't we call some of these guys up? And I know baseball, there's all those contract things that I don't know about, but, and then when you start bringing those guys up and they went on the run they did, it's just like, could we have done that maybe sooner and had a home playoff game? But
yeah, no,
that's a great luxury of being good at things again. It's like you can start worrying about those angles.
Look, it's going to be a fun.
I'm telling you, please, if you're a diehard Lions fan, go to Ford Field for a game.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's worth the money.
Yes.
It's worth the headache of the parking and everything. Like, what time did you guys get out of there last night?
I ended up getting home at 2 a.m., but I dropped Jordan and his dad off at like 12:30, so.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah, I don't care. As long as we win, baby, I don't care. I'll drive back at 3 a.m.
Yeah. No, it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
Before we get to,
are we breaking, or we want me to?
We'll do a break before we get to James. But before we get to James, a little bit of MSU basketball. Obviously, you mentioned talked to Tom Izzo about.
So was Tom hype about the Tigers? Was he into it, or was he just like couldn't wait till it's over?
I don't know how big a fan. No, he was totally into it. Yep.
Cool.
No, I don't know
Shout
how
out to Izzo for seeing that and put it on the TV. We need Izzo to go to these sports bars and start putting shit on the TVs.
Well, he has people who do that. Who are more aware on his staff.
I want to dream that it was Izzo with a giant remote.
Yeah.
Hold on, guys. I got this.
The couple, I guess the newsiest item is Garrick Norman with a slight knee sprain out for a couple weeks. But
not
nothing
Liz
else.
Frank.
Not Liz Frank.
Okay. Keep her away.
Nothing major in terms of it. And then also probably, not one of their core guys. It hurts his ability to be part of their rotation right now. But also asked him about Cohen Carr and what position he sees him at. And right now he said he likes him more as a 3. We'll see. I thought he was really effective at a 4 in Spain, so we'll see how that is. He said it's because of the way he runs the floor when he's a 3. Versus when he's a 4 and he's in there rebounding. Either way, he said he's got to be a lockdown defender. That was an interesting comment to me. It was a really spirited practice, fun to watch today. And I think one of the things he mentioned about Midnight Madness, which is a little interesting this year because it's early. It's up against high school football. It'll bleed into the right at the beginning of the MSU football game. So if you're going, do you want to stay till the end? They'll have to figure that out. They're going to show the game, the MSU football game, at the camp out with the students on big screen. So that could be a fun experience. For those of you who aren't students, I would recommend Front 43 and Cask & Company if you're looking for a quick place to go that's a little off campus, a little out of the traffic, but not far away. You're talking just shot down Harrison, take that left on Grand River, boom, you are at Front 43 and Cask & Company if you go to Midnight Madness. But that because they have 10 guys, 11 guys who are healthy and are competing every day and he's hoping they determine who plays, not him, so to speak. That's what he said. Now, that's every coach every year. He thinks the scrimmaging is going to be really good at the Midnight Madness. So I think people who go could be in for a treat, maybe not as much Izzo getting shot out of a cannon and more scrimmaging basketball type stuff, too, that will be fun for people. So things to look forward to if you're going to be at Midnight Madness Friday night. And
we said, would somebody please guard somebody?
Let's take a really quick break. When we come back, James Crepea from the Oregonian, and we will we'll get into MSU-Oregon football and what to expect this weekend. Couch in the Rue, presented by Pure Options, Precision Crafted Cannabis, and Front 43 and Cask & Company.
Hey, sports fans, are you tired of the same old routine? Looking for a way to unwind after a long day?
Look no further than Pure Options, the premier destination for all of your cannabis needs in Lansing, Detroit, Muskegon, and Mount Pleasant. Whether you're cheering for the Lions, Spartans, or the Wolverines, Pure Options has everything you need to elevate your game day experience. Mention Couch the Rube when you visit Pure Options and get a Pro Grow 8th with a $50 purchase. It's our way of saying thank you for being a loyal listener. Swing by Pure Options today and elevate your cannabis experience to a whole new level. Where else can you cheer on your team, enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi, sip on handcrafted cocktails, or one of 46 beers on tap? Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. Two amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes Couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They become a great partner with Couch and the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at GoMuskox.com, where Couch and the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF.
Find Couch and the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite, Podcast Addict.
Couch and the Rube, presented by Pure Options Precision Crafted Cannabis, and our Wednesday show, brought to you by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar, just north of Frandor on East Saginaw, near the Lansing-East Lansing border. Very pleased now to be joined by James Crepea from the Oregonian, who covers the Big Ten and the Oregon Ducks. James, welcome, first of all. Secondly, did I get your last name pronounced correctly?
Yeah, close enough. We'll take it.
All right, sounds good. I always think I have it, and then I choke under pressure. So that's that's pretty standard for me here. Want to get a sense from you what this transition has been like, as somebody who has covered Oregon for a while and in the Pac-12, just to come into this Big Ten world, and what the vibes are there in terms of how the fan base feels about it, how the program feels about it, just what it's like to make this transition.
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, I think a lot is made of it, and certainly from a historical context and the ripple effects that we continue to see quite literally to this day and in real time and realignment are significant. But in terms of truly, like, yes, it's significant, and the fan base certainly is thrilled that their future is awfully bright by comparison. I think we all kind of make and especially in the media-wise at least, kind of make more of this than what it is. It's not like they weren't playing football or basketball, whatever the sport was before. They were awfully good at, particularly football-wise. Like, they were having plenty of success. Yes, is the league holistically, is the Big Ten certainly much better than what the Pac-12 was? Over a period of time, without question. But last I checked, the Pac-12 was awfully good last season. And it ended on that kind of a note. But their teams were awfully good last year. Washington did play for the national championship.
Yeah, it was a better league than the Big Ten last year. It was a great league.
Yeah. So, I mean, depending on what the sport we're talking about, obviously we're going to be focusing on football here, but depending on what the sport we're talking about, the Pac-12 was vastly better than the Big Ten in any number of sports. And Oregon is vastly better than or Washington or USC or UCLA or all four depending on what the sport is, are all vastly better than anything in the Big Ten in a given level of sport. So, like I say, I think some of it we just make more of it than what it is. and for football's purposes and for Oregon specifically, like I say, they were having success. They had an awfully good year last year with the only 2 losses being to Washington. And really, if you want to even go back and say the last, 5 years or 10 years, or for when most people hear Oregon, the better part of the last 25 years, really, since they really became what they've since become over the last generation, effectively. Yeah, they've been awfully good, and they played for a couple of national championships over the last 15 years. So, I think they've transitioned just fine insofar as the here and now and the like. But I say that with the understanding that they've yet to have a lot of those East Coast trips just yet. And frankly, they got hosed from the league insofar as this year's schedule. And they're the only team in the league who has to play 8 straight weekends. And of course, they're with one of the teams being playing on Fridays, as this one is, that they get their 2 Friday games in the span of 3 of those weekends. So that part of it, while no one inside the building is complaining about those realities or making a thing about it, they should be. If you're talking about an equitable schedule and those things, it's most definitely not. But in terms of all the other components of transitioning and joining this thing, nah. Like I said, they were having success before, and I think they're probably going to have an awfully successful year and probably successful run, and be one of those powerhouse teams that just gets lumped with a different collection in this league compared to the old Pac-12.
Yeah, we'll see how many of these games. So far, they haven't been hit with a noon out east, and how they adapt to that. But and obviously, like Michigan, November 2nd could be the first real opportunity for that, probably, and maybe Wisconsin 2 weeks after that. What do you make of this team? I've watched them play a little. I think everybody was a little alarmed coming out of the gate when people had high expectations for them. They've created a brand where they've earned those high expectations. You get a quarterback like Dylan Gabriel, people think they're just going to keep humming along. And then they have the first week that's a little clunky, not so great up front, and then, but it seems to me they've kind of found their footing, and Boise's a better team than people realize. What's your sort of take on the state of them right now?
Yeah, certainly the first 2 weeks were real clunky, particularly on the offensive line. It was, I'm just calling it what it was bordering on disaster by way of the caliber of the offensive line, and against Boise, just an absolute turnstile in terms of lineups. And they utilized 4 different lineups and made changes 11 times throughout the course of the game. That's hard to do. and guys weren't getting hurt. They were just throwing, quite literally, the proverbial throw anything at the wall kind of deal and see what sticks. They was extremely haphazard. Like I say, and the results were as such. Since they've ultimately made another change and stuck with one of those 4 lineups from the course of the Boise game there in terms of the offensive line, and yeah, they've stuck with it since, and they're in a spot where they've performed well. Now, having said that, all really, with the exception of Boise State, like you say, I think a lot of people really don't give the credit that they deserve. They could very well be the best G5 team in the country and a playoff team. And out here, we were saying that before the season started. And we were also saying that Ashton Genty was the best running back in the country and a Heisman contender before the season started. And boy, did he prove it. And has he been doing it on a weekly basis. So, yeah, he did it to Oregon on 4 really explosive runs. But he's going to be doing that to a lot of people all year. The other 3 opponents, though, I mean, just calling it what it is, whether it was a real rocky start against Idaho or now these past 2 games where things have looked far, far cleaner and better in all facets of the offense, especially with Oregon State and UCLA. And there's simply almost no conclusion to be taken from that because this is a wildly better and more talented roster, top to bottom, and every single matchup on the field than those teams. So, yes, the line has performed a lot better, and that has helped the offense ultimately execute a lot better. But I'm hesitant to make any grandiose conclusions about that because, I mean, Oregon State's not good and UCLA is awful. So I think we're going to be learning quite a bit more about this Oregon team starting on Friday with Michigan State, and then, of course, with the Ohio State game to follow. Defensively, quite frankly, they've been just fine from the start of the season. They just have. I mean, they're causing an absolutely enormous level of havoc, as defined by in terms of negative plays and disruption. They're causing a really, really high number. Now, again, with the advantage of an extremely talented defense that's loaded with transfers over the past 2 seasons, including from Michigan State and Derek Harmon, and they're producing. They're producing on all levels, and they should be, again, against the caliber of opponents that they've been playing. They've been taking advantage of it. Other teams aren't scoring a whole lot of points, and with the exception of Ashton Genty and 4 plays from him, no, like hardly anybody is really doing much of anything against this defense, and that's been the case in all 4 games.
Yeah, we've seen around these parts. You get somebody like Kenneth Walker. You get that one back. You get a back is at that next level, and it really doesn't matter. They're going to get theirs against just about everybody. Yeah, what I've seen from the defense right now, I mean, again, it's hard to tell, different competition, but it seems like this group that they've got they just seem to have some speed and length, and I don't know, they seem to have a lot. Trying to compare them to other Oregon teams you've covered who have been top-tier teams, how do they stack up, and can you tell yet?
It's a little bit difficult. Defensively, this is definitely the best defense that Lanning's had in his 3 seasons. I mean, I'm really not sure that's all that close, quite honestly. And last year was a good defense that statistically made some big jumps in certain areas, so it looked a lot better than it probably was, quite honestly. Again, like last year, they entered the season talking about by the end of the year, they wanted to be viewed as respected and feared as a defense. And again, in certain areas and against certain opponents, quite honestly, I'm sure they were. But ultimately, you played one opponent that was massively significant. And as good as the past defense was, certainly compared to the year before, you played one elite team. And I'm sorry, but I don't believe Washington respected nor feared the Oregon defense last year. And ultimately, to me, that's kind of like the measuring stick there. You played a first-round quarterback with an absolutely vaunted receiving core, and they lit you up. And now your top corner went down in both of those games, but still, they couldn't hack that particular matchup. They went out and addressed the issues where they were weak, and in a big way in the offseason, to where, like I say, this is definitely the best defense of the last 3 years. It's really not even all that close, in my opinion. And with that, if you go back before the Lanning era to Cristobal, the 2019 defense was awfully good. Now, in terms of talent and how many players could be bound for the NFL and those sorts of things, that 19 team had a bordering on elite secondary, especially by the end of the season. And the number of guys from that starting unit who made it to the NFL is significant. The front 7 played well at times, but you can't begin to compare the talent on this team to that team. This team is just much, much, much deeper and bigger and more talented in the front 7 than that 19 team was in that regard. So it's got a chance to be, not just in my now 7 seasons covering the program, but it's got a chance to be one of the better defenses in program history. And that's saying something as a whole. Having said that, when most people hear Oregon, the first thing that comes to mind is not usually the defense.
Yeah, right.
It is about the offense and the points and the speed and all those things. But credit to Lanning and his staff. They really have. They have addressed issues, and like I say, where areas where they were weak, they did everything that they could. Insofar as if even if you say at the professional level, hey, if a team is really, really lacking in the secondary or extremely reliant on one particular player in the secondary, and then that player graduates or their contract's up in the pros or whatever it is, what do you go out and do? Well, they went out and addressed it, like I say, as best as possible. The cornerback room specifically being an area that what they inherited versus what they are now is light years of differences.
Obviously, next week's game is a game a lot of people nationally are looking forward to, and it's human nature if you're there to think, Ohio State's visiting, in 8 days. Is the fact that it's, is this team mature enough? B, is the fact that it is a traditional Big Ten team coming to their place for a primetime Fox game and all that stuff enough that this is not at all in danger of being a look-ahead type spot where it's, where if it was a noon game against, a group of five foe, you might have that danger.
Yeah. No, this isn't a trap game or anything like that.
I think Michigan State would like it to be.
Yeah. No, for one, in terms of overall maturity and those sorts of things, there would have been even, I wouldn't even say compared to last year as much because Nix was a senior and certain other guys are seniors as well. But this is a really senior-laden group, even in the portal era. They've got over 20 seniors on this team. And I'm talking, of course, in the scholarship sense. That's significant. It's the most experienced squad, again, certainly of the Lanning era, and even going back to the last couple of years of Cristobal. So, no, from purely a maturity standpoint and kind of one of those like, well, they've been there before by way of, having to navigate some of these things and, the attention that comes with being in the playoff competition or the conference title race or whatever the case is. A lot of this roster, even transfers who came into the offseason, some of them from awfully successful places, again, kind of been there, done that. I don't think that there's anybody who's mentally wired in that way. Like I say, it'd be different if they were relying on, especially at some certain prominent positions, really relying on some younger players where you could say, hey, well, they really haven't been there before or had to go through that before. Even a Friday night game by comparison. Now, has a lot of the roster gone through a Friday night game? No. Is that wildly different? Not really. If we're going to call it what it is, not really. Let's put it this way: it was so not something that stuck out to one of the players who actually has played a Friday night game that he forgot that he did because it was 3 years ago. That being Jeff Bossick, who we spoke to earlier today, and he's literally like, "Well, it'll be my first one." And by the end of the interview, I go, "Jeff, you're forgetting the Cal game in 2022, your freshman year." So yes, like they've kind of been there and gone through it before, whether it's Friday night, whether it's playing something big before, the next opponent kind of thing. And to say nothing of, look, call it what it is, of course, on your guys' end, this very well. The theme of the week, this is against Jonathan Smith, and an offense in particular that they're quite familiar with, and schematically in the wrist. And I wouldn't just say from a Smith standpoint or certain players, obviously Aiden Childs and Jack Velling and Tanner Miller in particular, but it's not just saying, that former rival of yours, former rival who, for those who are still on the team from 2022, that absolutely ripped their heart out with a comeback that should absolutely never have happened, and a total fourth quarter collapse. Now, there's not too many guys left from that occasion, but they'll remember that. To say nothing of, there are plenty of guys, even on a defense and even on a defensive line, many of whom were not here then, that know darn well that no matter what the situation, no matter what the rebuild, no matter what the talent, that a Jim Mahalchek coached offensive line is going to be awfully well, will execute awfully well. whether it's in year 1 of the program, year 4, year 10, whatever the case is, they're not going to be beating themselves in that regard. So, yeah, there's plenty, like I say, plenty of people in the building, and that includes plenty of people on the field who really respect what Michigan State is doing. Yes, even amid the start of a new era and amid a bit of a rebuild, that they know full well that this is still a challenge. Like you say, this is not a G5, and this is not even a rebuild like UCLA was last week. This is still an awfully talented team.
Yeah, it's interesting the dynamic with Jonathan Smith and so many members of his staff who this is a rival that's been ingrained in them and ingrained in him going back to his playing days and he's obviously downplayed that dynamic but I think it will be interesting how much the familiarity means something. They've got a secondary coach who was at Oregon a year ago and they've got a lot of guys from Oregon State, and it makes for an interesting situation. It'll be, Oregon fans don't have the same feelings about Jonathan Smith as betrayal, so to speak, but they certainly know him, and the programs know him, and so that will be interesting too, and how they defend him and how much is similar. I'm looking forward to seeing it. James, I'll look forward to say hello in the press box on Friday night, and appreciate you taking some time, man.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.
That is James Crepea from the Oregonian, covers Oregon football. Any quick thoughts before we get to Harry?
Is it Crepea or Crapia?
Crepea.
Crepea. So you just have to have confidence. You have to say it and then let him.
I used to know it too because I've.
But should you ask him before the interview?
I texted him and he didn't get back to me.
Then just go with it and let him correct you, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
No, actually, it's a Crepea.
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 Crepea. No, because he was
Cockburn.
Yes, that's what I should go with that.
Is it Coburn?
Yeah.
No. I just, I know he's talking about the defense, but I just look back at the Boise State game when, Boise State, if they had any resemblance of a quarterback, I think they might have beat Oregon at home. But I just still like the points with Michigan State.
It's a lot of points. The offensive line did look bad for Oregon. That is the one area that's of. But I think the biggest thing that Michigan State showed last week that gives me some thought that they could, certainly cover this and be in the game for a while is they showed they can move the ball against anybody. I think they'll be able to move the ball in this game again. Now there is more familiarity with the system and all that stuff, but I don't think that's that big a deal. Before we get to Harry, I would also advise anybody who's got to pronounce a name they don't know but think they know and need the confidence. This is what Pure Options is for. The fact that I don't have any MGs in me from Pure Options is why I absolutely screwed this up without a question. If I just had that level of confidence. You want to take a break or we go straight to Harry?
Sorry. Are we going to break?
We'll go to break.
Sorry. I didn't know if you saw that or not. Okay.
I did see that, yeah. I'll give you a thumbs up. All right. That more Pure Options definitely needed in the studio tonight. Couch in the Rube, presented by our friends at Pure Options and Front 43 and Cask & Company.
Hey, sports fans, are you tired of the same old routine? Looking for a way to unwind after a long day? Look no further than Pure Options, the premier destination for all of your cannabis needs in Lansing, Detroit, Muskegon, and Mount Pleasant. Whether you're cheering for the Lions, Spartans, or the Wolverines, Pure Options has everything you need to elevate your game day experience. Mention Couch the Rube when you visit Pure Options and get a Pro Grow 8th with a $50 purchase. It's our way of saying thank you for being a loyal listener. Swing by Pure Options today and elevate your cannabis experience to a whole new level. Firekeeper's online casino and sportsbook is the site to play from your phone, tablet, or laptop. Get in on all the football action with pre- and in-game wagering. There's showdowns every week in football that you can't miss. Plus, the college and pro hoops are red hot and the pucks are cool. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. Two amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They become a great partner with Couch in the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at gomuskox.com, where Couch in the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite, Podcast Addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Pure Options Precision Crafted Cannabis, and our Wednesday show brought to you by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar. It is time to pick the games, and for that we bring in our good friend Harry Gagnon.
Jared Goff.
Harry Gagnon from The Ringer, from Against All Odds with Cousin Sal, from BetOnline.com. Harry, how you doing, brother?
Hey, what's up, guys? A nice day for to be a Detroit fan, I guess, huh?
We're doing all right around these parts.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine if I just loved soccer, too? It'd be just a great day. Oh. It's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
No,
you're missing out terribly in life. You know,
I hit another 4-teamer last week with you guys in soccer. Yeah.
Listen to Harry on the soccer. I'm telling you, it is.
Harry, question for you. How many TVs do you have rocking at one time when you watch games?
Well, on Sunday, you know what I do on Sunday? On Sunday, I've got the Red Zone going. I've got another TV going. I've got two computers going and my phone at the same time texting the guys back and forth. So it's crazy on Sundays.
Right, because we're trying to tell, Graham gets his two monitors out that he took a picture of put it on Twitter, and it's just like, I have two TVs set up, and it looks like Graham has to slap this together at last minute when he wants to watch stuff, and we have a conversation on the show about people having two TVs. I feel like if you're a sports fan, you have to have two TVs going, at least.
You have to. It's something. You got to have two going, something.
Yeah, I often have two. I just don't have them permanently set up in the same place, so I have to move things around.
It's all good.
Yeah. I mean, it's what it is,
The wife wears the pants. It's fine. We understand what you're trying to say.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
It's all good.
Yeah. No, I have a soccer parlay too later that I am really fired up about. And,
can't wait.
Yeah, so we will.
Let's get these terrible games out of the way then.
All right, let's get into them. We'll start with the college games. And Michigan State Friday night is a 24-point underdog at Oregon. And, I said earlier I would feel more comfortable when I saw it at 25.5 opening, teasing it up. I still think, if you really want to bet Michigan State, you can see how a game like this could spiral. If Michigan State, second straight game against a tough team on the road, 6 days later, night game at Oregon, you can see things going wrong. I mean, they just lost by 31 in a game they were competitive in. So, that said, I think if they were to play this game 10 times, Michigan State covers this spread 6.5 to 7. You know what I mean? Wow. I think this is so. While I don't love the line, that would be my lean, and I would take Michigan State here. I think they showed they can move the ball with anybody. I think Oregon's offensive line is a little bit of a question, and Michigan State's defensive pressure, which struggled to get home against Ohio State, will have a little more success. So while there's a lot of talent on Oregon's team in terms of keeping it to 24. I think Nick Marsh will be healthier. I just like MSU's chances to keep this to about 2-3 scores. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, in Michigan State, they showed me something last week, Harry, against Ohio State. I mean, they shot themselves in the foot. So I mean, I just go back to the Oregon-Boise State game on September 7th, Harry, of Boise State if they had a quarterback. I mean, they ran the ball all over Oregon. I just think Oregon wins this game, but I just think 24 is just too much lumber. Give me Michigan State and the 24. What you got?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm taking the Spartans as well. I was right on their game last week. Finally, I was right on Spartans game. But Dylan Gabriel for Oregon, he's been very good. 11 total touchdowns, completing 82% of his passes. But no offense, they could care less, I think, about covering 24 points here. The Ducks care about Ohio State the week after in Eugene. Again, I'll take Sparty to cover here. In a fairly low-scoring game, I think. Oregon has the firepower. They really care about the Ohio State game. Dylan Gabriel, Heisman, still right now. He is 18-1, guys. Right now, he opened the season at plus 750 to be Heisman. Now he's at 18-1. I think he's lying low in the weeds here. If he has a monster game against Ohio State, look for him to be up there too with the favorites. But for this week, I'm going to take the 24 of Michigan State with you guys.
And Travis Hunter, by the way, is somebody I got him at great odds. I still think because what he does is so. Boy, I'd have to look, but I
got him last week out here at 20-1.
Yeah, I think I got him even before that. I think it's higher than 25-1. And you get a guy who they're not losing a ton, and he just does something so unique that they don't need to be an unbelievable team. If he stays healthy and does something that just people can't do, and there's not a clear runaway winner at quarterback, which there might not be, I think there's still good value in that. If you can find it above 15-1 still, I think Travis Hunter's worth taking a flyer on. I do.
I also think that with the 4 people that get invited to New York for that, he's such a unique type of player. I mean, last week he had an interception. He had 9 receptions for 90 yards and the touchdown. You're going to want a guy, a diverse guy like that in there with the quarterbacks. You want to have that sort of situation. So I think I got him. Like I said, 20-1 last week. I've seen him now. Some places he's like 8-1.
And I think there comes a point where unless there's a quarterback who's clearly the best player in the country, it becomes a preposterous. It already is an award that's just a quarterback award that really has lost a lot of its luster because of it. But like at a certain point, you're like, this guy is clearly the best athlete and player in college football. Yeah. How is he not the winner? And so I think that's a good play. Next game, Iowa, plus 19.5 at Ohio State, and these are the type of games historically Ohio State is sort of screwed up a little bit. They too have a big game. It's in Eugene, the next week. They got their big win against Michigan State. I'm sure they only respect Ohio State to a degree. It is at home, but I think they're. You know what? I'm going to plug my nose and take Iowa here. I'm not going to bet this, but in my lean, I would take Iowa here at 19.5. I think Iowa's defense will slow this game down. Iowa went into Minnesota, won by 17. They blew that game against Iowa State. I think this is a game where you're not going to feel comfortable the whole night, but Iowa gets it done by it's like a final score of 32-13, 32, 14, something like that. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Tell me I'm wrong, Jason.
Iowa's like Graham, though. It's like when you get into an argument and all of a sudden he just goes on and you wear out and you go, fine, all right, fine. It's just too much lumber, I think, Harry. Iowa's D. I trust them in the 19 and a hook. They're not going to win this game either. I just think it's too many points. Give me Iowa. What do you got?
I don't know. I'm going to take Ohio State reluctantly. I don't like this game. Last time the Hawkeyes were in Columbus, they did lose by 44. I just don't see the offense coming through for Iowa. I mean, Cade McNamara has just 3 passing touchdowns so far all season. And the Kansas State transfer, Will Howard, for Ohio State, does have 11 total touchdowns. Buckeyes have been rolling, by that same type of, 25, 35-point range all year. I think they keep it going heading into that big game against Oregon. I'll take the Buckeyes.
All right, next game. And I knew you were going to go. As soon as I started talking, I'm like, do I really want Iowa? I would not bet that game in a million years.
You had to hold your nose to pick them.
Yeah. Tennessee minus 13.5 at Arkansas. This game fascinates me because I love this Tennessee team. And I think we find out a lot about this Tennessee team because that's a big number on the road in the SEC against an Arkansas team that's not great but not horrible. Like this isn't some, patsy that you automatically just can walk over. Tennessee won by 10 at Oklahoma, which I think is a little more seasoned than Arkansas. They obviously smacked NC State, who's not very good at NC State on the road, and they played 2 patsies otherwise. So 13.5 is probably about right. Tough game, night game at Arkansas. I just like this Tennessee team so much. I'm going to believe in them until otherwise. And the other thing I would do if I were anybody thinking about jumping on Tennessee to their playoff numbers no longer bettable. At one point, it was minus 125. Now it's like minus 280 or something. You can't really bet it. But to win the national title, the odds aren't out of this realm yet. And I have a feeling after a couple more weeks, it's going to get harder and harder to bet them for that. So maybe jump on that. Give me Tennessee minus the 13.5. They're going to cover this at Arkansas. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, I respect Tennessee, but this is like a situational thing. I don't think Arkansas is a great team. I mean, last 2 games on the road, Harry lost to Texas A&M last week. I just think, like Graham said, night game, 7:30, 13 and a hook. I think Tennessee wins this game. Too many points. Give me Arkansas. What do you got?
I'm with you, Jay. I'm taking Arkansas, too. The Hogs are 3-0 straight up in the last 3 meetings versus the Vols. Tennessee loaded, but especially offensively, but they didn't light it up a couple weeks ago in Norman. I'm going to try the 13.5 with the dog, or should I say hog, at home.
All right, next game. Well played, Harry. I'm laughing inside. The next game, Michigan plus 2.5 at Washington Saturday night. Washington is pretty average this year, and I think we knew there was a chance that was going to happen this year. But guess what? Michigan is pretty average this year. Washington just had to go east, lost to Rutgers. And they beat a Northwestern team who's just awful this year. They lost the Apple Cup to Washington State. I think Rutgers is an okay team, though. And Michigan has not done enough to warrant, to me, being favored. Actually, they're underdogs. Sorry, check that. We'll fix that in post. Michigan, I still minus in anything inside of 3. I probably take Washington here. I don't feel great about it because, I don't want to disrespect. I think Michigan's got a lot going for it still relative to its offensive line and defense and some of its skill players. But you give me Michigan's quarterback situation on the road at Washington, night game there, kind of last gasp for their season. I'm going to take Washington to cover this based on what we've seen from Michigan as well.
But are you excited about it?
No,
it's kind of a fade for me.
I'm not actually going to bet it.
I think it could be Washington money line possibilities here for this thing, Harry. I'll take Washington, but it just seems like a fade. I don't trust Michigan on the road either, but give me Washington. What do you got?
I'll tell you what, guys. I love this game. Now, last week, and you guys know on Against All Odds, the second we were on twice on the Ringer Podcast Network a week. In a second show during the week, at our last segment, we give our Sharp Tank pick. We do a segment called Sharp Tank where me and the 2 other guys, Brother Brian and Parlay Kid, give our best bet for the week. And I'm 9-2 in my last 11. Last week, as we went over it, guys, was the Bengals minus 4.5 for me over the Panthers. And this week, I don't know what I'm doing just yet, but I may be taking Washington here. I mean, look, Michigan's ranked. Washington isn't, but Washington's a 2.5-point favorite here. Last week, Washington easily could have beat Rutgers and lost. Michigan easily could have lost to Minnesota and won. So still not liking the lack of passing game for Michigan. Orgy 32 yards in the game 2 weeks ago. 86 yards last week against Minnesota. And you know who can pass? Mississippi State transfer Will Rogers of Washington. He's completing 75% of his passes. He's got 1,350 yards passing. He got 10 touchdowns. He got no picks. First time on the road after these games for Michigan that they're on the road. Their last 3 wins have been by a grand total of 16 points. I just don't know where the offense. If Washington gets out early, I don't know how Michigan's going to come back, especially with Orgy who can't pass the ball. I really like Washington here, guys.
Yeah, see, I watched the Apple Cup, and I don't because of that. I've seen enough. I'm a little nervous. Washington makes me skittish right now, but Michigan does too. Like these are not good teams to bet. If
you look also right, and I know Washington hasn't played. At the beginning of the season, they played a few cupcakes and everything like that. But the Apple Cup was on a neutral field in Seattle.
Yeah.
And the other games they played at home. If you look at what their defense did, the defense barely gave up any points. So that stands pretty strong considering Michigan's offense is struggling in terms of the passing game. And again, if Washington can get ahead early, they get a touchdown, they get a field goal. Maybe it's a 13-3 type of game. I don't know how Michigan's going to come back passing the ball in Washington.
This game to me is a stay away. But Harry, I respect you so much that I'll probably bet Washington now. Jets to the NFL, the overseas game, the games I usually want to stay about. But if you wake up early and you don't like the Premier League. Like, I really don't know that the NFL should keep doing these Sunday morning games because the Premier League's on. Like, who the fuck cares? But for people like Jason, who might want to watch, this American football stuff in the morning, Jets plus 2.5 versus the Vikings, and what is a very interesting game. Usually the overseas games are crap matchups. We haven't had that this year so far. The Vikings right now, and I know it's not a home game, and I know the Jets are purely capable, and but the Vikings controlled that game against the Packers too last week, and I know Jordan Love took a little while to ease back into it and all that stuff, but until the Vikings don't control the game, I'm going to be on the Vikings inside of 3 points. I like this, even though I try to stay away from overseas games. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, the part of me wants to take Aaron Rodgers and the points in this game, but I just think that they're terrible. Breece Hall has been terrible so far. Give me the Vikings minus the 2 and a hook. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Look, just straight up in this game on the neutral field, Vikings are just a better team. Darnold playing better than 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Jones better than Breece Hall, as you mentioned just now, Jay. And Minnesota has better wide receivers. I'll lay the 2.5 with the Vikings.
Yeah, no, and you got some dysfunction going on with the Jets. I mean,
Salah's not going to come home if they lose that game.
Yeah, Salah's talking about maybe they need to dumb it down, and Aaron Rodgers is like, "Why don't you just hold your guys accountable?" It's some weird juju going on there with the Jets too right now. Game that should be a lot of fun. Ravens minus 2.5. Ravens sort of showed a little more of their ceiling, looked fantastic, obviously against the Bills. They go on the road to a Bengals team that needs wins. This will be fun to watch. I think the Ravens are better, and I know it's on the road. The Bengals have not been great at home. Inside of 3 points, give me the Ravens based on what we saw last week, and I just think they're better than the Bengals. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, I won money on the Ravens last week against the Bills, Harry, and the Bengals D. I can't get over that they've back-to-back weeks given up a touchdown to a tackle. I mean, your D's ass. I'm sorry, the Ravens are rolling. Give me the Ravens. I like it a lot. What do you got?
Yeah, I won money on both teams last week, and it was both big wins for both teams as well. But and Cincinnati really probably needs this game more. But their defense is soft. I don't know how they're going to stop Lamar in the running game with him and King Henry. Henry 350 yards rushing the last 2 weeks combined. I just gave up 24 points to the Panthers, which again I covered that game, but it wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. I just don't like Cincinnati's defense right now. Ravens roll.
Yeah, the Ravens to me looked like a team that found something. I don't think that's a one week thing. I'm not saying they're always going to be that dominant, but I think they're going to be okay. This game is interesting. Bills -1 at Texans. I had to check that. I know the Texans aren't great, but the Bills is a favorite. I know it's 1 at the Texans. I'm sorry, give me the Texans. I like the Bills a lot, but you're at home. You're a 1-point dog. That's enough. That's enough juice for me. Where are you, Jason?
Man, I might sprinkle now on the Bills. I just don't know about the injuries for the Texans. Harry, I need to kind of wait on this. Nico Collins, Tank Dell. You got Damian Pierce. I mean, I don't know how badly beat up the Texans are going to be, but for right now, I mean, give me the Bills. What do you got?
Yeah, the Bills were due for kind of a bad game, and they had been rolling. They had scored 31 points or more in every game, and that was their third straight night game, so that's kind of tough to get up for. Nice win last week for Houston, but their offense still didn't look super sharp like it did last year. Bills are much better on offense overall, I think. Allen Lifetime, very good versus Houston. I hear what you're saying, Graham. That number looks a little low here, a little fishy, but I'm still taking Buffalo.
Packers -3 at Rams. This will be a home game for the Packers, essentially. This will be all Green Bay fans in L.A. And I do think, I believe in the idea that it took Jordan Love a minute to find his footing, and the Rams are beat up. And I know technically this is a road game and a road dog, and the Rams are capable, but we just saw the Rams against the Bears last week, what they are right now. To me, this line doesn't scare me. I think the Packers win this game. I think they cover the 3. Jason, where are you?
Oh, I see it at 3.5 in some places. And if you're going to give me McVay and Stafford at home plus 3 and a hook, I'm not scared of the Packers. I'm not scared of Packer fans. I've seen them up close in person. They seem like nice people, but it's not like they travel. You're like, oh my God, Packer fans are here. Give me the 3 and a hook, and I like it a lot. What do you got, Harry?
I'm going to go Packers here, guys.
Thank you, Harry.
The Rams had trouble putting it in the end zone versus my Bears, my Bears. But Jordan Love, he took long getting going, but it still his numbers turned out to be really good. But they have 3 interceptions. It cost him in the end. But this week, I think he'll have a little bit better feel, a little more comfortable in his second week back from injury. Rams, as you mentioned, still banged up. I'm going to take the Packers here.
All right.
Yeah, whatever.
You also like the Saints +5, and what is another good game? A Monday night game next week against the Chiefs. We'll find out a little bit how real the Saints are. The Chiefs are banged up, obviously, but 4-0, -5 at home. You like the Saints?
Yeah, look, you guys know I always go against the Chiefs. It sort of seems like, but I do like the 5 points here. KC is like fraudulent 4-0 to me, and now down their best receiver in Rice. Still no Pacheco. Kelsey has 0 touchdowns this year, and Mahomes, a very mediocre 6 touchdowns, 5 picks, averaging 226 yards passing per game, and 5 points seems like a big number considering the Saints. 2 wins were a combined 62 points, and their 2 losses, real tough losses past weekend to Atlanta. Their 2 losses have been by a combined 5 points. I'm going to take the 5 on Monday night against Kansas City.
I'm also intrigued a little bit by the Seahawks -6 at home against the Giants. Like what we saw from the Seahawks offense, like I don't know if the Giants can keep pace. I really don't. And I know that's 6 is a lot in the NFL, but I don't know. That line is just something. 4:25 late afternoon game in Seattle. Kind of don't hate it. Don't hate -6. Love it in a teaser. Certainly love it teasing it down or taking it a money line parlay or something.
But more importantly,
that's a Graham teaser special.
Yeah.
But more importantly, Harry, you trust Derek Carr on the road. I guess he did it against Dallas, but I think Dallas, we're trying to figure out what they are. We know what they are kind of. I just don't know if I can trust Derek Carr. I know Kansas City's been. I don't know. I just can't do it sometimes.
I hear you, but you know what?
But you're wrong, Jason.
Always seem like on Monday night these games are close. Last night Detroit wins by 13. So I think just having one game with those 2 guys doing the game on Monday night is enough for to take the points because I need this game to be close on Monday night.
All right, Harry, what is your soccer parlay?
Okay, like I said, last week again had a nice one. We hit that one last week, so here we go. Starting off in the English Premier League, we're going to go Liverpool, Crystal Palace, under 4.5 goals. Only 4 total goals between these 2 in the last 3 matches combined. So under 4.5, Crystal Palace and Liverpool. We're going to go on Sunday, Brighton and Tottenham, over 1.5. 12 goals combined in their last 3 meetings. And then let's go with the next 2, Major League Soccer. We're going to go San Jose, Real Salt Lake, over 1.5. In September, Real Salt Lake played 4 matches. Those 4 matches had at least 4 goals in all of them, and in 11 straight earthquake matches have landed on 2 goals or more. So over 1.5 in San Jose, Real Salt Lake, and I'm going to go over 1.5 in the Galaxy versus Austin FC. The last 3 Galaxy matches, 6 goals were scored in each of them, and the last 4 matches between these 2 goals or more. Galaxy, Austin FC, over 1.5.
You're a beautiful man, Harry. I got one for you. All right. I like this a lot. Okay. 2 heavy favorites at home this weekend. I love Man City, -450 against Fulham. And look, Fulham can be pesky, but I think Man City gets this done. I know there's Champions League soccer, but they had a weak opponent this week, and they're coming off. They need a win. And then Arsenal at home against an awful Southampton team. And after nearly blowing it against Leicester last week, I think Arsenal will be focused. They won easily today in the Champions League as well, -800. So that, you're like, okay, -450, -800. What are you going to do next? How do you get – okay, well then you go Brentford, draw no bet. So, you're going to get a little bit of money here and get most of your money back. You get your money back and win just a little bit if it's a tie. Brentford at home, -220 against the Wolves, a draw no bet. So if you put those 3 together, it pays exactly even money, and I love that. So basically, 2 are going to happen for sure, and basically what you're hoping is Brentford at home with the insurance of draw no bet is going to win against a bad Wolves team, and I like Brentford at home. I think that's my soccer parlay at even money.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I like it.
You're a beautiful man, Harry Gagnon. Yeah. Let's keep it rolling. And
what? What's happened?
You
Oh
wake
my
up?
God! I zoned pretty deep there.
Yeah. I figured.
And by the way, guys, real quick on my Bet Online video this week.
Yes.
We are heading to. We're doing a little bit of sports action. I know I'm not doing any football, basketball, baseball, but I'm doing. My video. It's going to be out it's going to be out in the next day or two. It's on the WWE card of Bad Blood. On Saturday night.
You can obviously follow Harry for that. We will share that video as well from our show account. Harry, you're a beautiful, beautiful man. We will talk to you next week.
Thanks, man.
Awesome, guys. Take care and go Tigers.
That's Harry Gagnon from Against All Odds with Cousin Sal, The Ringer, and BetOnline.com. Yeah, this is fun. I like these Tuesday night shows. Harry's energy at night. He likes the Eastern time nights. I'm
almost with him on that.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah. We will be back on Thursday, like a late morning, like an 11 a.m. show before I get on a plane to Oregon. So we're if you're a live listener, just put that in the back pocket, whatever that means. And we appreciate all of you listening. We appreciate Pure Options. We appreciate our friends at Front 43 and Cask & Company. And we appreciate all of you. We'll talk to you on Thursday. Couch in the Roof. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.